How's it going, you guys? It's Scott with the Everyday Home Repairs Help and the Everyday Home Repairs channel, going through 3 more of our questions that the viewers have submitted. Don't forget, if you have questions, right below this video in the description, you'll see a link to a form, and that is where you submit your questions. That's the list of questions every week I go through, and I select 3 of those to answer those right here on the Everyday Home Repairs Help channel. So this is our 6th episode, and let's jump right into it. So question 1 comes from Bai out in California, and it's an electrical question. Bai says, on the outer walls of my residence, there are 2 receptacles, one in the front and one in the back. Rear one is GFCI, but front is not, despite being close to a water tap. They both are controlled by a 15 amp breaker. Is there a way to find out if the front one, non-GFCI, is also guarded by the GFCI in the rear? I was thinking to change the front with a GFCI, but someone told me that there should only be one GFCI receptacle on a circuit. So I'm unsure which direction to go. Another observation, the breaker that controls these 2 receptacles has a sticker on it. It seems to be the previous owner noticed that the GFCI on the rear is stuck to always on and needs replacing. That was my trigger to look into this in the first place. All right, so pretty common question and point of confusion. NEC, so National Electrical Code, calls out where you need ground fault current interrupt protection, and that has kind of expanded over the years. So 1, you need to know what is called out in your state, and even in my state, actually the NEC code is called out for the municipality. NEC in general rolls new code amendments and updates every 3 years. So it's 2014, 2017, 2020, and then 2023 with those additions already actually being put out so you can see what's going to be added and what's going active. But then each state, or depending on your state, maybe the city, will adopt which year they are enforcing, which year are they calling out in their code. Specifically for me, we're still on 2014. So in general, that is good to know what you need in your area. Now, for your specific instance, you have a GFCI in the rear, and then you have a standard outlet in the front, which is close to a water tap and needs to be protected by GFCI. You're completely correct in terms of sometimes people like daisy chain GFCI protection. So if we look back to the picture, you submitted a picture of your panel, which I do see 2 breakers here, which are GFCI or possibly AFCI because they have a test button on them. If you look at 12 and 14 here, we see these are master bedroom plugs covering a bath. Okay, so that makes sense. But the one you were talking about is over here on 19 with a sticker on it. That one is not protected by GFCI. So we do know that our outlets are going to have to provide that GFCI protection. So it's a very simple check, and you have your 2 outlets. Most likely, your GFCI in the rear of your home is providing the protection to the front. But we do need to check this. You do not have to take these 2 outlets out. What I recommend is you just get a simple outlet tester with a test button on top of it. This is a simple one from Klein Tools. It's one that I always have in my bag. You'll go ahead and plug that into your front outlet, the non-GFCI, and you'll test that. And then what you're expecting is the GFCI in the rear will trip. And then that will give you confirmation, 1, that the GFCI is working, and it's also protecting your non-GFCI outlet in the front. If you want a link to this, you'll see a link in the description to my Amazon store. In the electrical section is where you'll see this exact outlet tester. Very inexpensive and a great thing to have around the house just to check your outlets if they're wired correctly, and then also to test your GFCI functionality, because believe it or not, GFCI should be tested monthly to make sure they're functioning correctly. Very few people do that, but that is the call out. Next question, number 2, coming in from Sean in Rhode Island, and it's a little bit more of a carpentry question. Hi Scott, I am hoping to do a DIY upgrade to my attic access. I recently bought this home and just a screwed in piece of drywood within a closet being used as attic access. I'm hoping you or the community can provide suggestions on how to upgrade this to a more permanent solution. Preference would be to something well sealed since I am in New England to prevent heat loss in the winter. Approximate dimensions of the access hole is 18 inches in length and 24 inches in width. Thanks. All right, so looking at the photos, and remember guys, submitting photos helps a ton, right? I think you can do a maximum of 5 photos in the submission form. So here it is exactly what you said. It's a screwed in 4 different drywall screws, screwing that into probably some box framed in your attic. 18 inches by 24 inches. So there is most likely a box that's spanning a couple of your rafters up in the attic. I'm definitely not like a massive fan of this setup. One, you're gonna have to undo those screws. They get loose over time. That drywall piece is gonna start falling out. At a minimum, even without an integrated ladder, what I would like to see is that box in your attic, that the drywall piece actually fits up through that box. And then that drywall piece is held into place because you actually put trim around the edge of the box or the drywall cutout in your ceiling. So then that holds that drywall piece in. You can press that up into your attic and then access your attic. Now, there's not going to be an integrated ladder, and you're probably not going to be able to get an integrated ladder into this space. But if you wanted to spend a little bit more time, you could do something like this attic access. I had something very similar to what you have, and then we expanded that box out and we installed this aluminum ladder from Keller. I'll put a link in the description to this exact one. They have a few different models, but this one fits the kind of 8 to 9 foot ceilings. And then you adjust the bottom section of the aluminum to fit your exact height. This is super stable and a great upgrade to something like yours, but you're probably not going to be getting that in your closet, so you would have to relocate that. And then here's a look from the top side where you do have to box in a box exactly to the dimensions of the ladder access that you get from Keller or whatever brand. So there is a little carpentry work to do. You do have to spend some time. And then for insulation, if it's just on your piece of drywall that's now going up through the box, you can cut a fiberglass piece of insulation to that exact size, set it on top of the drywall. It takes a little doing when you're putting that door back in place, but then that insulation can set on top and at least give you some R value through that opening. And Sean, if you have any follow-up questions, just jump down in the comments. I'll see those come in. I'll respond to it. And we are still working on that forum. So at everydayhomerepairs.com, there will be a forum. All the topics out there. We had a little bit of a hiccup in terms of the technology, but I have the website developer working on that. And all these topics from the past 5 episodes and this one, the 6th episode, will all be there with my answers. And you guys can engage, add your comments so we can help each other and grow our knowledge together as a community. And then the third and final question from this week comes in from John in Florida, and it's a concrete question. He says, how does the Sika SL, and that means self-leveling sealant, and the Vulcan semi-self-leveling or SSL sealant hold up to pressure washing when used on driveways? Good question. And if we jump over to Everyday Home Repairs, right? So if you go to the channel, and this goes for my channel and other channels too, right? So if you're doing drywall repair, the Vancouver Carpenter is great. Go to his channel page and do what I'm going to show you here and search for what you're looking for. If you're doing trim work or you're caulking your trim or you want some tips there, the Funny Carpenter is a great website to go on. If you're doing plumbing, Got to Learn out of Canada has an awesome plumbing channel, right? So you can go to those channels because sometimes it can be hard to find a video from a creator, from a YouTuber that you align with. You're like, I like their pacing. I like how they present the information. I want to see if he has a video. Sometimes it can be a little complicated. So go to their specific channel, go over to this magnifying glass. In this case, we're going to type in concrete to see what videos do I have, maybe laying a concrete pad or sealing concrete. So you'll start to see all those videos. We have a small landing pad here for stairs that we did. We're cleaning concrete. And then we have multiple where we're sealing concrete. And specifically this top one with the pool noodle, super popular video. That one used the Vulcan. So the brand is Tremco. The actual product is the Vulcan 45 semi-self-leveling or SSL. And then for this original one that I did between the garage floor and the driveway, I was using the Sika self-leveling product. The difference there is the semi-self-leveling goes up to, I think, a 6% grade. So it gives you a little bit more forgiveness where it will settle out. It will settle into that gap and settle out in a level surface, but it will not pool to the low end. The Sika has a little less viscosity, so it will pool a little bit more if your crack that you're filling is not completely level. So just keep that in mind. So let's go to actually this one, the best way to seal concrete. It's kind of a project update. So it looks back, it kind of answers the question that John's saying is how does it hold up? Because I have pressure washed this driveway. So if we jump into that, you'll see I'm starting off at the crack where I used the pool noodle, kind of showing what it's looking like now. Now this one was really only about a month or so old, so it's not really showing the longevity of that project. But if we go along the video a little bit more, now I jump into one that is a year and a half old or more and showing that product. Now this was before pressure washing, but I did go through and pressure wash this exact spot with absolutely no problem. So I can say the Sika product and the Vulcan. I've really switched to the Vulcan 45 SSL for most of my projects just because that forgiveness in that 6% grade. But overall, it holds up fantastic. No problems, and I really recommend that you guys use those sealing up your concrete products, trying to lessen the amount of water that's getting in under your concrete pad, because at least in my area with the freeze thaw cycles we go through, that can start to heave those pads, establish those lips and unevenness to our concrete driveways or sidewalks that can lead to much bigger projects in the future. So if you want to dive in a little bit more and see how that product goes down and even see how to use that pool noodle as a backer rod, which is a valid solution, check out this video right here. It'll walk you through that full process and hopefully help you guys out around your own house. So thanks for joining me on this video, and we'll catch you on next week's episode. Take care.